The rain had been falling for days in the small village tucked between fields and a restless river, the kind of rain that turns dirt paths into streams and silence into worry, and for Ayan, barefoot, thin, and used to hardship, it was just another reminder that nature did not care how poor you were, it would test you all the same. And that afternoon, when the sky cracked open and the river burst its banks, the flash flood came roaring like an angry beast, swallowing carts, goats, and the narrow road that led past the village, and Ayan, who had been returning from selling vegetables for a few coins, heard a scream cut through the rain, sharp and desperate, and without thinking, because thinking is a luxury fear doesn't allow, he ran toward the sound, his heart pounding as muddy water rose around his knees, then his thighs, and there he saw a black SUV tilted at an angle near the roadside ditch, water slamming against it, the door jammed, a woman trapped inside, panic written across her face as rain soaked her hair and dress, and Ayan didn't know who she was or where she came from. All he knew was that someone needed help, and in a village where people had little, courage was the one thing they had plenty of, so he grabbed a rusted farm tool from a nearby cart, waded through the current that tried to pull him away, and with raw strength born from years of labor, he pried the door open inch by inch while the woman screamed for him to leave, to save himself, but he shouted back that no life was worth less than another, and when the door finally gave way, the water rushed in like a wild animal, knocking them both off balance, yet Ayan wrapped his arm around her, grounding his feet in the mud, and step by step, breath by breath, he dragged her free as villagers shouted and ropes were thrown, and when they reached higher ground, the woman collapsed, coughing, alive, staring at the boy who had just pulled her from death with nothing but grit and heart, and as sirens approached and rain softened into a steady drizzle, she thanked him again and again, tears mixing with rain, but Ayan simply nodded, embarrassed, already thinking about the vegetables he had lost to the flood, because survival was normal for him and heroism felt like just another day, and it wasn't until later, much later, that the truth unfolded, when news vans rolled into the village, when officials arrived with umbrellas and polished shoes, when whispers spread like wildfire that the woman he had saved was not just a traveler, not just a stranger, but one of the wealthiest business leaders in the country, a self-made billionaire whose companies spanned continents, and Ayan watched from the edge of the crowd as she returned, this time in a helicopter that stirred the air and silenced the village, and she walked straight to him, ignoring cameras, ignoring officials, knelt so her eyes met his, and told everyone within earshot that this boy had saved her life without asking her name, her status, or her money, and in that moment, the village understood something powerful. Wealth could buy comfort, but it could never buy character, and the woman, whose life had been built on numbers, contracts, and control, admitted that the flood had taught her what success never had, that humanity was the greatest currency of all, and she didn't just offer Ayan money. Though she did ensure his family would never sleep hungry again, she built a school in the village, funded healthcare, created jobs, and asked Ayan to study, to learn, to grow, not because she wanted to repay a debt, but because she believed in planting goodness where it first appeared, and Ayan, who once measured his days in coins and survival, now stood at the edge of a future shaped by opportunity, yet what moved people most was not the transformation of his life, but the unchanged purity of his heart, because even as doors opened, he remained the same boy who ran into a flood for a stranger, and that is why this story matters, because it reminds us that you never know whose life you're touching, whose destiny you're changing, or how one brave choice can ripple across worlds, and if this story inspired you, if it reminded you that kindness still exists and courage still matters, then don't let it end here. Subscribe to the channel, join our growing family, and stay with us for more powerful stories that prove heroes can come from anywhere, even the poorest village, especially when they least expect it.